a lot of assumptions, of shame and guilt and fear and judgment that I didn't even realize I had. And for the years following leaving the church, it was a process of slowly purging and peeling back and processing those things. I went through the Mr. Nice Guy phase, which is a very common thing for people who leave the LDS church, which is like, I'm just leaving the church, nice and peaceful. I'm gonna not be mean, I'm not gonna be spiteful towards the church, because in the church, when you're in it, there's sort of this like archetype of the spiteful, angry anti-Mormon who goes out and spreads lies about the church, and they're just offended and angry, and I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be that archetype. And so I tried to maintain very cordial relationships with everybody. I tried to be super nice, like, the church is really great for me, and yet I just, disagreed with it, so I walked away. I went through that phase for a couple of years. But through therapy and through a lot of thinking about this, I came to understand that I actually had some deep problems and anger towards the church and what it instilled in me. I had anger and resentment towards a lot of the authority structures that made me feel unclean or dirty. I had anger towards the systems that made me feel like obedience was the most important thing, that submission to a law from God was much more important than self-expression and self-actualization. I developed a resentment towards the church structure that has very homophobic and heteronormative and misogynistic structures that taught me to think in those terms. A church that purports to love everybody but deeply condemns certain people because of who they love. I had to rewire so much of that upon leaving. And perhaps most frustratingly, and maybe this is going to be hard to communicate the nuance to someone who's not LDS,